करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै। ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः।
So we were in this topic of surrender in the last class, and we ended with a question from one of the participants as to what does surrendering to oneself within mean. So for which I think it's important that we understand what the meaning or definition of surrender is. Surrender is an attitude of completely giving oneself up because of helplessness. This is the normal meaning, and this is understood in this spiritual sadhana, which is the ultimate of all sadhanas. Our culmination of all our efforts is to ultimately get into this attitude of surrender. If you remember, we were talking about ego. So ultimately, ego, which considers itself something to be separate, the individuality that considers itself something to be separate from the totality, has to merge itself back into that totality. And what finally makes this merger possible is the surrender. A drop of water finally merges back into the ocean. So the entire individuality that all of us possess has to finally get back into it. So the emphasis more on our study of Vedanta is development of intellect. Development of intellect or thinking power is to discriminate between what is right and what is wrong. It is discriminate between the pairs of opposites in the world and hold on to what is right, hold on to what is good for us in the long run. But we cannot end our journey with our equipments. The journey ends in the absolute supreme self, which is beyond all equipments. So in that case, for us to get rid of all the equipments, and when we have to jump beyond all the equipments into that supreme self, we have to transcend the intellect also. So the ultimate aim of the intellect, ultimate purpose of gaining all this knowledge is to understand the limitation of intellect also. Tirukural again, Thiruvalluvar says, what is the use of all the knowledge if you are not able to surrender unto the Supreme? So the aim of knowledge or purpose of the knowledge is to surrender. Or put it this way, how can we know that a person has ultimately absorbed the knowledge or understood the knowledge or has become wise, is when that knowledge enables him to completely surrender himself to that Supreme. So surrender that way is an expression of helplessness. In the normal terms, let us say a nation fights with other nation, one king finally accepts defeat, therefore he surrenders to the other king, means now he has said it is not possible for me to hold on to myself or my kingdom, therefore accept my defeat at your hands. So here in the normal sense, the terms victory, defeat, all these things comes. But ultimately what he does is that he places his crown at the feet of the other king, let us say symbolically. What it means is, all those people who were under my custody now, the kingdom which was under my custody now, is under your custody now, from now on. Therefore, the symbolism of falling at the feet, which is in Sanskrit, the word used is sharanagati. Sharana also means that prapatti or whatever it is falling at the feet of somebody to express ultimately one's helplessness, accepting one's limitations, is equivalent of transference of responsibility. This is the positive aspect of surrender. So to say that I am not able to do it anymore, I can't manage myself anymore, You please take care of me. Therefore, it becomes the responsibility of the person who gives the refuge. Your responsibility is no more in your hands. It is in the hands of somebody whom you have surrendered. From a normal perspective, when we use the word surrender, the idea we get is that we lose our freedom. That is why the example of one king losing to the other king and all, we think that by surrender actually we lose ourselves, we lose our freedom. This is what is the apparent understanding. But when you get deep into the understanding of surrender, the truth is just the opposite. You become ultimately free only when you surrender. It is very paradoxical, but this is a deep thought. You have to think about it. That a person who surrenders himself completely is the person who is absolutely free. He is the person who has sort of no burden upon him. He is absolutely free, because once you have merged with the totality, you gain that quality of totality in you and you actually feel yourself completely free. We cannot maybe explain this intellectually or understand this merely at the intellect level unless otherwise we have experienced some aspect of it. See, a person, even in a relative worldly example, a person who completely surrenders himself to the welfare of the company, he has not lost his freedom for the company. He gains full freedom, that he takes the ownership of the company. Though he is an employee of the company, he is able to raise his voice and see if any injustice is done by other employees, as though he gains that complete freedom because of his total surrender to them. Similarly, a girl who marries and comes and surrenders herself to the husband and to the family that she is now married into, she does not become that servant there. She becomes what you call the hegemony or the boss there. That is the freedom that she gets because of this absolute surrender. So the surrender is going to grant us complete freedom. So surrender is not losing. Surrender is not having any negative connotation to it. Surrender is just transference of responsibility. You need not carry anything on your back anymore. You can place it comfortably at the feet of somebody else. It becomes his responsibility from now on. And then surrender grants you complete freedom. You are totally free. As I said, unless otherwise we have this attitude of surrender and we experience it to some extent, we will not be able to grasp this concept. But the theorem is this, that surrender does not make you a slave. Surrender makes you completely free. Right. What are the qualities of a person who surrenders? What are the lakshana, or what defines a surrender? There is a beautiful shloka attributed to Sanatana Goswami. He writes a text called Hari Bhakti Vilasa. Hari Bhakti Vilasa is a text written by Sanatana Goswami, probably a contemporary of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, or in his lineage he comes. He gives a shloka in 11th chapter. He says, I'll read it out, we'll take it up point by point. He says, Anukulasya sankalpaha, pratikulasya varjanam, rakshishyatiti vishwaso, goptrutve varanam tatha, atma nikshepa karpanye, shadvida sharanagatihi. So he talks about what are the qualities or qualifications of a refugee. Refugee, here we use it in the terms of one who surrenders. There are 6 qualities of a refugee that is given here. The first is Anukulasya sankalpaha. This person who surrenders has a conducive sankalpaha. Conducive sankalpa is like a thought, but it is just not a thought. A very determined thought which is having a focused point of desire. That is what is generally called as a sankalpa. That is why when you do some ritual, first you say that this is the sankalpa. So suppose if a person is performing a havan for begetting a son, or for welfare of the company, or for getting rain in the society, whatever you are doing, first the priest comes and says that when the fire is lit and other things, he says you have to take a sankalpa. Sankalpa means you be clear of what you really want. Anukulasya sankalpa means you will entertain those thoughts which is conducive for the, in other words, you don't have a sankalpa of your own. What is your welfare, what is your liking, that you leave it. You are thinking in terms of what is the happiness of the person unto whom you have surrendered. And the other side of it is pratikulasya varjana. Reject all those things which are unconducive. All those things means it can be a thought, it can be whoever or whatever that is not conducive for this, those who are not familiar for this, those who are not helping you in your attitude of surrender or going towards the goal. You are having a proper, clarity about that I should move myself away from all these things. I should remove myself. I have to reject. I have to avoid all those things which are not conducive for my sankalpa. So these two go together. In other words, from now on, whatever is good for him is good for me also. Whatever is not really good for him, whatever is not really likable for him, I will refrain myself from doing that or thinking about that also. This is pratikulasya varjana. Third is rakshishyati iti vishwasaha, a firm faith, a firm conviction that he will protect. So you are taking refuge, you are taking this, you are submitting yourself in surrender because of your helplessness. You are not able to protect yourself. Therefore, the person unto him or the thing unto him, the goal unto you, where you are surrendering, you must have a firm faith that that particular person, that particular thing is out there and definitely he will protect me. Faith is an important aspect of surrender. There cannot, of course, there are various gradations in which we will see it later, but without faith, there cannot be a surrender. Somewhere down the line unto some person, because it is now very clearly proven that you are not able to take care of yourself. Suppose if I don't know the medicine to cure myself, I am suffering from disease, it is my duty to cure myself. Therefore, I have to choose a person who I consider as a good doctor, and unto him, when I surrender, I must have full faith that he will save me. You can take even time to select, but having selected the doctor, you have to have that full faith that this person will protect me. If faith is not stable, you are delaying the process of your own redemption. Faith is a very, not just important, it is a very necessary factor for bhakti, surrender here. Then Goptrutve Varanam. Varanam means that you accept for yourself, that you choose and accept for yourself. Whom you choose as the protector, there you make sure that that particular protector is capable and you choose accordingly. Having chosen, there is a complete acceptance of that. 3 and 4 go together, basically. See, in you take this word Swayamvara. Swayamvara is where the girl chooses the husband. So once she decides that this is the person to whom I should get married, that acceptance that he is going to be the husband for me from now on is what is known as Varana. So Gopta is one who is protector. In 11th chapter, Arjuna calls Krishna as Tvamavya Shashvata Dharma Gopta. Gopta means one who is the eternal protector. So you have to choose such a protector who has got strength to protect you. A person is a stout and a fat person and a strong person, let us say, but he sees a raging bull coming. So he wants to now protect himself because he thinks that he cannot stand against that bull. A person who is already very frail and very weak than him, he cannot go and take refuge in him. I mean, I'm giving a very exaggerated example to prove the point. So you have to take refuge in someone who is absolutely standing on a firm ground. And once you once you choose and accept, there has to be absolute faith in him that he will protect. Sir, a person is walking along the forest, in the forest, and there is a well. This well is dried up and it is but a little deep well. By mistake, he falls into the well, and there is no people who are going here and there. It is not very easily inhabited place. So very rarely do people walk there. But now he is shouting as to, who can protect me? Please, somebody protect me. So very few people may hear that, but many of them just move away because they are not able to do anything to him. They themselves are incapable. So finally, a person comes and he says, I will protect you. What he does is that he comes to the edge of the well. He uses a very strong rope, ties one end of the rope against his waist, and he leaves the other end of the rope down, and he tells that person who has fallen down, catch that rope and come up. So this person thinks for a while and he says, no, I will not come. Why you will not come? Because when I am coming up, what if you leave me halfway? I will fall, so I will not come. So he says that I promise that when you are coming up, I will not leave you. Don't worry about it. Now catch the rope and come. Again he thinks for a while and says, no, I will not come. Why you will not come? You will not leave me, but if my pulling strength pulls you down and you also fall, then it is not good for both of us, so I will not come. He says, don't worry, I will stand on firm ground. I have all the strength. I will definitely pull you up. I will not leave you also, and I will not fall. So have faith and you come up. Then he says, thinks for a while and he says, no, I will not come up. Why? You will not fall, fine. And you will also not leave me halfway, I agree. But what if the rope gets cut in between? Then that's danger. So I will not come. He says, don't worry about the rope, because the rope that I have given you is a very strong rope. It is time tested. It has it has helped many people in the past. So you don't worry about it, that also. Then he thinks for a while and he says, no, I will not come. Why? The rope will not get cut. You will also not leave, and you will also not fall down. But after I come up, you will make me your slave, or you will expect something of me. He says, don't worry, you need not give me anything. You need not give me even 1 rupee. Just catch hold of it and come. And now he finally says, I will not come. Why you will not come? Who is in this world in this time now who will help me without expecting anything in return? This is something fraud that is going on. If such a person is going to have doubt like this, what is his scope? There is no way that he can be protected even if God were there. So who is this person? This person is the individual who has fallen into the well of samsara. It is the connection between the God and the individual. A guru comes, and it is the guru who stands on the firm ground, and he throws the rope of the time-tested karma, bhakti and jnana. He is standing on firm ground. He will not leave us. He will take us shoulder to shoulder and does not expect anything in return. What is the problem for you to have faith in such a person? So you take that. You have to surrender unto some person who is above your intellect. That's all we can do. As I said, our intellect cannot cover everything. You know that there's an area of ignorance vast beyond your intellect. So where your intellect cannot penetrate, there we need to have faith and we need to have surrender. And that protector having chosen, you have to accept. Completely you have to accept. Then comes, this is the main aspect. That is why I have sort of made it bold. Atmanikshepaha. Atmanikshepaha means complete surrender or resignation. So some people say this is essentially surrender. All the other 5 are aspects of this. So instead of taking a 6 qualities, you can take this as the main quality, and all other 5 are supplements to this. Having done this, you have to completely resignate, self-resignation. There's a complete surrender unto him. That it is like that, giving up completely. You take care. In the story of Mahabali and Vishnu in the Vamana Avatara, so he grants three land equal to 3 feet of Vamana, and with 1 foot he becomes the huge Trivikrama, the Vishwarupa he takes. With 1 foot he covers the entire world, and with the other foot he covers the entire other lokas. Now he is asking Mahabali, you promised me 3 pieces of land, 3 small pieces of land. I have covered 2. Where is the third one? Now, in fact, in the forms of bhakti, Atma Nivedana is one aspect, and that is exemplified by Mahabali only. This is one avatara where there is no killing of somebody who is a demon. Like in Rama Avatara, Ravana and Kumbhakarna are killed. In Krishna Avatara, let's say Kauravas and the Shishupala, they are killed. Narsimha Avatara, Hiranyakashipu is killed. But Vamana Avatara is for establishing dharma, but essentially the other person who is there is not a demon, is not a bad person. Mahabali is in the lineage of Prahalada. He himself is a very good person, but it is just that he has this ego. So God has to make sure that his ego is completely destroyed. He did not destroy the person, only if his ego is destroyed. Mahabali has these good qualities, that he is a Vadanya. Vadanya means one who will honor his word. Now he has given the word. He is a Brahmanya, one who is honor Brahmins. Brahmins means one who will honor persons with knowledge. And the Lord has taken the form of a person of knowledge and come there. And third, he is a giver. He is a Data. Now, all these 3 qualities of him in this, he has given a promise that he will give, and he has given a word to the Brahmin, and he is now going to give. All these 3 are, he thought that I can do it. I will be able to do it. Now the Lord has only proved all these 3 qualities in you can become fulfilled or completed not with your strength, but with my grace. So therefore, for that, Mahabali completely surrendered himself. He just gave himself up, and he fell at his feet and said, this is the third thing. I mean, if at all, then the Lord places the foot on the head of the Mahabali and pushes him down. There is no vanquishing, there is no killing. The story is that this is, when we talk about freedom, remember this. A person who has surrendered unto the Lord, he will never ever make him slave of anybody else. Not possible. He is completely free. It is said that down below in Patala is a great loka, which even Indra doesn't know, where Mahabali will eternally rule. And Mahavishnu is a gatekeeper there. This is what he will do. So once a person surrenders, he will make sure that he is at the top. Lord Ganesha's worshipping is also like this. Once you catch hold of the feet of Ganesha, he will put you at the top. It is exactly like if you want to get over the elephant, you cannot get onto it by any means except to catch hold of the feet. By stepping on the feet, the elephant will put you above itself. Like that it is. So in this case, Mahabali gave himself up completely, and he was completely protected. So there is a very beautiful story, and the Mahabali is the ideal example as far as Atma Nivedana is concerned. So Atma Nikshepa here means then you resignate yourself completely. This aspect finally you see in all surrender, whether it be the Gajendra, the elephant which surrendered to Mahavishnu, whether it Draupadi who ultimately surrendered, or any story that you take in our Itihasa, Purana, or anywhere for that matter, finally throw your arms up and completely surrender in self-resignation. This is the essential aspect. And lastly, he says Karpanya. Karpanya here refers to being in a way that now from you now on there is no ego, so you conduct yourself with extreme humility. There is no sort of iota of arrogance from now on, because your individuality has completely sort of hidden itself completely. It has given itself up completely. Now these, we may be not able to understand them as qualities, as I said, unless we walk the path to some extent or we experience this, we may not be able to understand this in totality. But if we understand it through a character, if we understand it through a person, we will be able to appreciate it. That is why it is said, to understand what true bhakti is, to understand what true devotion is, even if God were to come and stand in front of us, probably we will. That is why in front of the totality, you absolutely bow down your head, isn't it? See, ego gets itself into a surrender mode moment it is able to confront totality. I repeat, your ego gets itself into a surrender mode, bowing down your head, that automatically comes moment you are able to confront something very big, something totality. See, Swamiji gives the example of how people get inspired at various levels. Inspiration, we said a couple of classes before, is when you are able to raise above your small self. That is called as inspiration. If you are able to raise above your ego, what feeling you have, that is called as an inspiration. For a person who goes and stands in front of the Himalayas, the grand Himalayan ranges, Mount Everest or any big range, immediately he looks up that mountain range and says, wow, my God. Immediately the thought of God comes. For a person who is much more evolved, the thought of God comes the moment he is able to see a sunrise or a sunset. That inspires him. He is able to visualize divinity in that. A person who is very highly evolved, he is able to go into raptures when he peels a banana skin or something very minute also. He is able to see the expression of divinity, meaning he is evolved to such an extent that even a minute expression of divinity is enough to inspire him. So if you go in the reverse order, the more ego is pronounced in a person, the greater is the expression of divinity or nature that is required for him to forget himself. Forgetting himself is forgetting your ego. That is where the attitude of surrender comes. So, if a person who is even highly selfish and highly egoistic, the moment he confronts a Grand Canyon or a Pacific Ocean or Himalayas or something very huge or very big, in that front of the totality, his individuality or ego goes into insignificance. So immediately the thought that occurs into him is that, my God. That is where, so the surrender comes in front of the totality. You are able to see that and forget yourself. So this is, so we said that, so you need to understand that for surrender, you need to confront the totality. So we said, when a person is able to confront God, as it were, you will know what bhakti is. You will know what surrender is. This we can understand. But what they say is, even that is not enough. More than the God, if you are able to confront a true bhakta, if you are able to confront somebody who has already surrendered, if you are able to recognize and have a relationship with somebody who is already in the state of surrender, only then we will know what surrender is. See, in front of God, as it were, it's, yes, it is there and it will automatically happen. But from our level, we are not able to conceive it now. And when is God going to appear and when are we going to understand it? We do not know. Fortunately for us, we have the stories, we have the experience, we have the relationship, we have the charitra, or the characters who have already done this. At least we need to start with the basic faith in these people. If you are able to understand that, that is why instead of understanding the aspects given in Upanishads and at the lesser level Bhagavad Gita directly, we need to start with the Itihasa and Purana at a lower level. The Veda Mata herself says that a person who is going to approach me directly without going through the path of Itihasa and Purana, which is Ramayana, Mahabharata and other Puranic stories, good chances are that he will misunderstand me. This is what Veda herself, the mother herself says like that. The knowledge is given in three forms. The Vedas are the ultimate authority. Vedas give the knowledge in the form of what is known as Prabhu Samhita. Prabhu Samhita means, Prabhu means Lord, Prabhu means master. Just as a master tells the servant. So Vedas are giving us orders. It says Satyam Vada, Dharmam Chara, that's all it is. You have to, Satyam Vada means speak the truth. Dharmam Chara means walk along the path of Dharma. There is no ifs and buts there. There is no explanations and other things given. They are very cryptic, direct statements that are given. Just as a master gives instructions to the servant, you are given instructions. That is the tone of the Vedas. And that is the greatness of the Vedas. And that is where entire source of wisdom is. That is how it will, that's how its languages. That's what it will tell us. That is at the first level. Shruti. Second level is the Smriti. Smriti is like Bhagavad Gita. Smriti is that which is remembered and told. Shruti is that which is heard. Smriti is that which is remembered from the Shruti and an interpretation and a little more explanation is given. So, if Upanishads is the source, Bhagavad Gita is an explanatory text. Bhagavad Gita is not classified under Shruti, but it's a Smriti. Smriti is also not very easy to understand because it also requires some preparation as far as the student is concerned. It is called as Suhrit Samhita. Suhrit means friend. It is not as powerful as what Vedas say as in the form of instruction of a master, but as a friend tells a friend, it is there. A friend will tell even if it is unpleasant what is the right thing for you. He will not say those things which is just pleasing to your ears. But this also requires some preparation to understand and some amount of tapas to accept what it says. But at the third level is the Itihasa and Purana, which is called as Kanta Samhita. Kanta means wife. Just as wife tells the husband very smoothly, the same message is given by the Itihasa and Purana in a very easy and a conducive way. The wife will know how to talk to the husband without hurting his ego. At the same time, she will convey the message. Just as you inject a needle in a banana, it will smoothly go inside. Satyam Vada is a statement in the Vedas, but you have the story of Harishchandra, which is a big story, ultimately proving the same thing, that it is the truth that alone triumphs. Satyameva Jayate, says Mundaka Upanishad. Satyameva Jayate, one statement, that's about all. Truth alone triumphs. But when you are able to understand, even a child can understand the story. It is said that Mahatma Gandhi saw the Harishchandra drama when he was young, and then he took a strong vow that he will never speak untruth throughout his life. This is the impact that it will create. So the impact of Itihasa and Purana is that everybody is adhikari for it. Everybody is a qualified person for it. And in these, there are, so Itihasa means history. Itihasa, that's it happened. But what is the use of just knowing what happened in the past? See, there are epics that are there in Greek and other history also. But honestly, maybe I'm not qualified to say, but those who have read it must answer. By reading Iliad and Homer, now, the epics of the West now, are we able to derive any lesson? I really do not know. But for sure we can say Ramayana, Mahabharata and other epics are not just recordings of what happened in the past. They are able to give us solution in this 21st century also. So we are able to connect it at various levels to understand what dharma is, to understand how a true bhakta has lived, and various other shastras, various other niti. So many aspects to it. We can learn economics, we can learn warfare, administration, various things are there in it. So various characters are given in this for us to understand how they have walked, and when situations have confronted, how they have reacted to it, how they have found solution to it, or what is the questions that they have risen and what are the answers given. How is it going to help me now? So this is Hanuman. We saw Hanuman's flight over the ocean into Lanka. That is very relevant now as far as your approach to your goal is concerned. So like that, at the real level, at the symbolic level, at various levels, they are going to help us. So we need to understand this also through characters of Ramayana or Mahabharata. Then we understand what this quality of a refugee is. Ramayana is a great text which is ultimately talking about the essence of Vedanta. Those who have the book Symbolism of Hindu Gods and Rituals, you can go through the portion of Ramayana. Interpretation of Swamiji is outstanding there, that he talks about how Ramayana talks about the state of an individual who has fallen away from the self and how he gets back to the self by the characters of Sita, Rama and various other characters that are involved there. And the storyline that is there, which is a straightforward storyline, this is the ultimate message of the Vedanta that is given in Ramayana. But Ramayana is just not merely the symbolism, which may be the essential message. There are various other things also, as I said, various characters are there. And one recurring theme in Ramayana that we see in every Kanda, Kanda means the chapters, essentially it is divided into 7 chapters. If you leave the Uttara Kanda, which is after Rama's coronation, there are 6 main Kandas or chapters that are there, right from the beginning till the war. Each and every Kanda also there are talking about how surrender is an essential aspect there. In the Balakanda or the first phase, the Devas go and surrender to Vishnu, saying that it is impossible for us to confront Ravana and his what to say, his atrocities are increasing and we do not know what to do. Please protect us. This is the Devas surrender in the first phase. And here they are surrendering because of Artha. Artha means they are having an extreme emotional distress. They are not able, and at that point, even Draupadi at that point of time, though her surrender is complete, it has been created by a situation that she is not able to take care, and in extreme form of pain that happens. Gajendra, it happens like this. So this is one form of surrender here. This is in Balakanda. In the Ayodhya Kanda, a beautiful surrender comes in the form of Bharata's surrender to Rama. Bharata is the Shishya and Rama is the Guru there. And he says till he meets Rama, his mind is extremely agitated because he would not accept the kingdom. He moves away from everybody, Kaikai and other things, and comes and completely falls at the feet of Rama to say that he has to accept. And Rama, though he accepts his surrender, and pure Vedantic Jnana is given that portion of Ramayana is wonderful. But that surrender could not get its ultimate result immediately, not because of any fault with Bharata, but because Rama had a vow that he will come after only 14 years. So he gives the chappals, the footwear, and satisfies Bharata for the time being. In the Aranyakanda or the forest chapter, the Maharishis surrender unto the Lord, and they are talking about a great surrender, saying that we are surrendering unto you like the unborn child has surrendered in the womb of the mother. Like that example they give. We have nothing to say. Whatever the mother eats, whatever the mother does, that is what is going to do. So you have to protect us in that way, they say. Because in those who studied surrender in detail, particularly the tradition of Vaishnava Sampradaya or the tradition of the Vishnu followers, they generally talk about 2 types of surrender. You will find that they explain that most of the Hindu gods have generally 2 consorts, 2 wives. Krishna, of course, Krishna has many, and but generally Rukmini and Satyabhama are considered the main wives. Kartikeya means there is Devasena and Valli, they are there. Vishnu means there is Sri Devi, Lakshmi and Bhudevi, who's there is there, like that. So one of the ways to understand that it is that, you will find that in the story aspect of it, both of them surrender to Krishna, as it were, but one is able to catch hold of him and have the sankalpa totally to get on to him, and then she reaches him. This is the story of Rukmini. Satyabhama is also like that, but she is in a carefree way. It is as though Krishna goes and catches hold of her, as it were. This is the story. In the Devasena and Valli also, Devasena has a strong sankalpa that she has to get hold of him, and she marries Kartikeya. And Valli is also like that. She will not marry anybody else except Kartikeya, but it is Kartikeya who chases her and marries her. This is how the story is formed. Very beautiful aspect. So they say, one is it like that the monkey, the young one of a monkey catches hold of the mother and it will not leave. It is the monkey will jump here and there, the mother monkey, but it is the duty of the child to hold, and it is protected. Other way is like how a kitten surrenders. The kitten does not do anything. It is the cat which catches hold of the kitten and moves about it here and there. So the onus is upon the mother here. These two are not contradictory to each other. It is only talking about the aspect of a person's preparation. It is not that God is, partial to somebody and not partial to another person. It is just that one who has prepared himself in certain way, the surrender and the ultimate merger is going to happen. Absolutely. It is the path that a person takes is according to one's sadhana, to show that only. Apart from that, here the rishis of the Ramayana, they are saying, neither like kitten nor like monkey, we are like the child in the mother's womb, which is totally helpless in that sense. So they are talking about the level at which they surrender. It is completely, they have merged himself into him completely. And here, Rama being Rama, as a character in Ramayana, he does what his obligation is and to protect them, but he does not like outwardly accept their surrender, because they are Maharishis and he is a person who is there for them, like that he is a king, like that stance he takes. When it comes to the next kanda, in the Kishkinda kanda, the famous is that of surrender of Sugriva. Sugriva's prapatti or surrender is called as, he is like Artharthi. Yeah, like Artha is a person who is extremely distressed and at the emotional level he has nowhere else to go, so he surrenders. Artharthi is somebody who wants to obtain something. Sugriva is without his wife, he is without his kingdom, he is without anything. Not only that, Sugriva at a level that he represents most of us, that he doesn't even fully trust the Lord. He doesn't fully trust the Lord. You will find that that conviction and all is not there. Later he becomes, as Ramayana proceeds, Sugriva becomes a gem. But in the initial case, that is not there. And you will find that all these 6 qualities, many of them may not fit into Sugriva. Yet, what is interesting is, Rama wants to catch hold of him. See, what is the greatness of a Lord is that if a person is fully qualified and he is ready for surrender, and unto him he goes and protects, what is the big deal? God will anyway protect. He himself has risen himself to that level. A person who does not have trust, a person who is not qualified, if Lord is able to protect him, and that is the glory of the Lord also. So it is interesting that in Ramayana, the Lord approaches Sugriva as though he is surrendering him. That I have lost my wife, you have to protect me, like that. In that tone he goes, but finally he makes sure that Sugriva surrenders to him. This is how, at the level that he relates. So Lord comes down to your level and relates the moment you are able to turn your face towards him. So in this case, the question may arise as to what is the great thing about Sugriva, that Lord has come all the way to him. There is no qualification probably, except that only one qualification he had is that he had Hanuman by his side. Hanuman is the representative of Sadguru. So if the Guru is there, if the right company is there, nothing else the God sees in you, that he makes sure that you are already a qualified person. From that time onwards, he will make sure that step by step, your faith has increased, your trust in him has increased. He will come down to your level and make sure that you go up. So this is the surrender of Sugriva in the Kishkinda Kanda. Next is the main Kanda, which is Sundara Kanda, the only Kanda where the hero Rama is not there. So you don't see a direct surrender here, not possible, because Rama is out of picture. It is the is the episode where Hanuman goes to Lanka and comes back. So, but it is in this episode that you hear the story of Kakasura, or the surrender of, we call him Kakasura because Lord Indra's son took a form of a crow, and he was very nasty in his behavior with Sita, and Rama in his anger releases Brahmastra, which cannot go in vain, and ultimately he comes and falls at the feet, and Sita helps Kakasura and makes sure that Rama is pardoning, and that is the Sharanagati. So even having done extreme treacherous act, those who know Ramayana will know that you are eligible for this. You are eligible for surrender. And not only that, Sita is also telling Ravana to surrender. Sita is also telling the Trijata is telling Rakshasas to surrender to Sita. Sita is just a person who has surrendered to Rama. So even if you surrender to a person who has already surrendered also, it works. That is shown in Sundarakanda. All these are surrenders at various levels. But the ultimate surrender comes in the Yuddha Kanda. It is called as the famous portion of what is known as Vibheeshana Sharanagati. Vibheeshana's Sharanagati is considered the ultimate. It is considered the absolute of all surrenders. There are people who have only taken up this portion of Ramayana and extensively given commentary about it. You will find that we talked about these 6 qualities of a refugee. You will find that all these qualities of a refugee perfectly fits only in the case of Vibhishana. Anukulasya sankalpa, conducive sankalpa. Right from the time that Sita was brought by Ravana, Vibhishana is talking about what is really the right thing, what is really the good thing from Rama's point of view. From Rama's point of view, Sita has to immediately get back to Rama. So even when others are against him, even when Ravana has that extreme ego and arrogance, whether in private conversation or in a public conversation in the conference meeting room of where others are present, he says what is Anukula or conducive from Rama's point of view only. So that is Anukulasya Sankalpa. Pratikulasya Varjanam. When he finally understood that his own words, his own thought has no takers there, and he tried by all means to convince Ravana and he failed, what he did was he left his family, he left everything, he left his properties, and then he rejected everything that is unconducive, including his country, his nation, Lanka, and he started his journey. So he rejected everything that is unconducive. He did not want to associate with them. And what is the proof? He is coming from enemy camp. He is a Rakshasa. And Rakshasas' general tendency is that they may be not believable. But he has this full faith and full conviction that he will protect. Others, from others' point of view, it may be, see, Draupadi's and Krishna's relationship was different. Sugriva's and Rama's relationship is different. Bharata is a brother of Rama also. We see that. Arjuna and Krishna, they are different. But Vibhishana and Rama has never met. They don't know. But yet he shows a firm conviction and faith that he will protect. And who is he surrendering to? A person who is the Lord of all worlds, Goptritve. And having accepted him, he knows that this person has the capacity to protect me at all cost. He has this charitra also. Even in Ramayana, once he has given a word to Sugriva, he does that. Once he has given a word to Dasharatha, he does that. Once he has given a word to the rishis, he does that. So he knows for sure that whoever I have chosen or accepted is somebody who is there on the firm ground. There is no way that this person is going to leave me. So that type of a thing is what he has chosen. And then what he does nothing. That's all. This doing nothing and completely surrendering yourself is what is Atma Nikshepa. Atma Nikshepa. That means he has now given up everything and he is just there waiting. And Karpanya, extreme humility. When he is standing there in the space above, waiting for the approval from Rama, the Vanaras think that somebody from the enemy camp has come and they are hitting him with stones. They are trying to attack him. He doesn't do anything. That is Karpanya. Extreme humility. He said, now that I have come to this side and I have taken refuge in the Lord, there is nothing that I need to do. He humbly submits himself. So you find that all the qualities that are given here fit in exactly with reference to Vibheeshana. So whenever a perfect surrender is discussed about, what we need to immediately recall is the episode of Vibheeshana Sharanagati in Ramayana. When such a thing happens, what is the sankalpa of the Lord? That is immediately given in the next shloka. This is called as Charama Shloka. In the last class itself, we said Charama Shloka is what is known as the culmination or end or the ultimate shloka. It need not be the last shloka in a text, but these are the final shlokas. The entire message culminates in that. So the Charama Shloka of Ramayana is this, that Rama is now holding a conference from the worldly point of view. From the worldly point of view, to know others' opinion, he is holding a conference. So some are saying, let us try out him. Some are saying we should not accept him. Some are saying that he needs to be killed. Various opinions are there. He is patiently listening to everything. Finally, the person who has actually seen Vibheeshana is the person who has gone to Lanka, is Hanuman. He gives his opinion and he says that there is no doubt about this person. He is worthy of Lord's grace. Okay. And he is worthy of it is the certificate given by Hanuman. Therefore, the surrender becomes complete when the Guru also gives a nod of approval. That's all. Once that is there, there is nothing to discuss about or reject. But Rama goes one step further and he says, Sakradeva Prapannaya Tavasmite Chayachate Abhayam Sarva Bhutebhyo Dadami Etat Pratam Mama. I have a special vrata. I have means the Supreme Self. I, the Supreme Lord. Vrata of the normal people who are supposed to surrender, that is their qualification, their attitude, that is different. But I, as a person who is the refuge of all, my vrata is this. Sakradeva Prapannaya. Just even once with the attitude of surrender, he says, Tavasmiti. Tavasmiti means I belong to you. I belong to you. He says even once, it becomes my vrata, my vow to protect him from all fears. Abhayam sarva bhutebhya. Dadami etat vrata mama. This is my conviction. This is my vrata, he says. Not only that, he goes one step ahead and says, because now Sugriva is going to invite Vibheeshana into the camp. So Rama says, Sugriva, yadiva Ravana swayam. Accepting Vibheeshana is no big deal. Even if Ravana comes, I need not go. You give him surrender and bring him to me. This is the greatness of the Lord. Yadiva Ravana swayam. Even the person who is a enemy, who is a sworn enemy, even if he says that I belong to you and he comes to me, it is my duty to protect him also. This is the promise of Rama in Ramayana. Then, since we are in Charama Shloka, whenever Charama Shloka is discussed, these three shlokas are discussed always in relation to each other or in conjoint to each other. One is what is given in Ramayana. Second is what is given in Varaha Purana. Varaha Purana, we need not go into the detail of the shloka, but the last line is very important. For those who have studied the Ishavasya Upanishad, I am saying this is very important. It says, Sthite Manasi Susvaste Sharire Satiyo Naraha Dhatu Samye Sthite Smarta Vishwarupam Cha Mamajam Tatastam Riyamanam Tu Kashta Pashana Sannibham Aham Smarami Madbhaktam Nayami Paramam Gatim. You have to underline the last sentence. Aham Smarami Madbhaktam Nayami Paramam Gatim. Bhudevi, or the consort of Vishnu, who is in the form of Varaha, wild boar, is asking, what is your promise to your devotees? How will you protect them? To which he says, when that person was in good healthy condition, when his mind was all right, when he is in a condition where he is physically fit and is moving about properly, even once he has remembered me and he has thought about me as the Supreme Lord, and he has surrendered unto me, what I do is, at the very last stage of his life, when he is lying like a log of wood, kashta, pashana, or like a stone, we do not know how and where our last ultimate time is going to be. It is not in our hands. Bhagavad Gita says, Yam yam vati smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tameveti kaunteya. Whatever a man thinks of at the last thought, before the breath leaves the body, that is where he is going to go, he says. So if a man throughout the life thinks of money, last moment will be something about money only, it will come. He will go into again the material world, he will have his janma like that. A person who thinks of his emotions, relatives, he will think, where is my grandson, where is my wife, where is my son? He will again get into the samsara of the family life only. So it is said that you have to think of God in the last moment. But it is very easily said that think of the God in the last moment, how it is going to come. Unless otherwise you have practiced throughout the life that the thought of God is recurring within you, it is not going to come in the last moment. But it is not in our hands. However, prarabdha will decide itself what is the resultant of all our desires and thoughts, where it will take us, we really do not know. A person may be unconscious, a person may be in coma, a person may be in ventilator, a person may be in accident, he may just like that go. We do not know. It is all depending on the fruits of one's action that it is decided and prarabdha will happen. So here what is interesting is, he says, the Lord says, it is not important that you think of the Lord in the last moment. He says, I will think of him in the last moment. Aham smarami madbhaktam nayami paramam gatim. Why it is very important that he thinks is, I know the Prime Minister, that's not a big deal. Prime Minister knows me means it is much more value, like that it is. So he says, I will present myself in the last stage in such a way that his thoughts will not go anywhere else, but it will come to me only. Why I said it is important for Vedantic students who have studied Ishavasya is, end of Ishavasya is like this only, in surrender it ends. The penultimate shloka says, Kratos smara, kritagum smara. Oh mind, please remember. Remember, as the prana is leaving the body, the student is writing a will, let the elements go to elements, let the body go to all the elements. And to the mind he says, oh remember, 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 he says. So remembrance of the self which he has already done is what he is going to say now. So he tells the mind, remember that, remember that. So smara, smara means remember. And then in the next shloka, which is the last shloka, it says, Agne Naya Supata. Naya means lead me, take me, lead me into this path, good path. So after I go, after I leave this body, take me into the right path towards the self is the surrender shloka, finally it says. So there, the seeker, the devotee, the sadhaka, the individual prays, worships and surrenders and says, Smara and Naya. The echo of that, the pratidhvani or echo of that comes in Varaha Purana, where he says, Aham smarami, aham nayami. I will remember, I will take him, I will take him. This is the promise of the Lord. Aham smarami madbhaktam, nayami paramam gatim. And then the ultimate charma shloka, which we will continue in the next classes, Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja, aham tva sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami mashuchaha, which is the charma shloka of Bhagavad Gita, which we will continue in the next class. Yeah, if anybody has a question, they can unmute themselves and speak.
So, all our focus is mostly on how to develop our intellect.
Right.
And through that, we are trying to humble ourselves also.
Right.
But what would you suggest should be our sadhana towards developing surrender and bhakti?
Right. So you said that all the focus is on development of the intellect, and you said by which we are trying to humble ourselves. It is just by intellect alone, humility will not come. Obviously, in its truest sense, it will come. Once you get absorbed in the knowledge and humility are the two sides of the same coin. So Humility will definitely come when you are able to go towards the ultimate knowledge, no doubt about it. But the confluence of head and heart is important. When we talk about intellectual development, it is not a dry intellectualism where we try to understand the concepts, where we just approach it from the point of view of a dry subject and understanding. It has to have this flavor of blending of head and heart. What the intellect understands, the mind must try and feel. In fact, feeling is the most, is powerful than the language of feeling is more powerful than the language of the intellect. That is why we are able to even communicate with animals also through feelings. We may not understand their language, but feeling definitely has that impact. To have that feeling is what the study of the scriptures must be. So what we study must be felt, and what we feel must be also understood. So it is the blending of head and heart that will lead us to ultimate surrender. And other practices. Practices are what you have as your bhakti practice, going to temple or various other things are there which will develop this. But essentially, head and heart must blend itself to go in the path of surrender. Yes, sir. Shivaram.
Sir, one question. Why surrender is required? Why cannot be, I can have a example of Ekalaiva.
Ekalaiva surrendered to Drona.
Only the statue only, no, sir?
For you, it is a statue. For him, it was not a statue. It was
but
not.
Taught him, no. He himself developed this thing, no, sir?
He did not develop. He thought that only Drona gave him. That is the difference between his viewpoint and our viewpoint. If you see Keshav Chandra Sen was a great Brahma Samaj follower. He was a great intellectual also. He went to Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, who was a jnani, who used to worship Kali, and they considered those who worship Brahma Samaj is like a pure intellectual way. I mean, there might have been Rabindranath Tagore or others who have gone in that path. Ultimately, they are able to feel the Nirguna Brahman in their own way. The path will not deviate. But Keshav Chandra Sen was not for this idol worship and various things that Brahma Samaj stands for. So you also make idols out of the cow dung, which is the dried cow dung. So he went and ridiculed, sort of in a sarcastic way. He told, sir, how can you worship something made of cow dung? How can you worship cow dung? So to which Paramahamsa very politely but firmly replied that one whose mind is full of cow dung sees cow dung. One whose mind is full of Kali sees Kali there. That's about it. Similarly, the Ekalavya did not see stone. He did not see statue. He saw Drona there. That is why he was able to learn. His focus was something different. So he surrendered completely to Drona, no doubt about it. And that's why whenever an example of a disciple to master comes, Ekalavya's name comes first.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Poornam Adah Poornamidam Poornat Poornamudachyate Poornasya Poornamadaya Poornamevavashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.